I'm Bill Lyons.
I'm down there now, Steve.
I'm Deputy to the Mayor and Chief Policy Officer.
So tell us a little about this negotiation. How long has it been happening? Is the plan that the city could buy Physicians Regional Medical and make it to the new KPD headquarters?
Well, this is, we've been very public about our desire and need to get a new KPD headquarters. We explored the first Knoxville College site, and it's turned out that didn't work out well, so we have had discussions a couple years ago with Tennova about some possibilities, and those fell silent as they pursued what their corporate options were, and now that's opened up again, and we're definitely in serious or preliminary discussions with them about it.
Yeah, I mean, the timing was perfect. I think the opportunity with Knoxville College was exciting. Again, it was an opportunity to invest in an area where there'd been disinvestment work with Knoxville College, but their ability to take care of their debt was challenged, and so about the time that we were advised of that, we had a call from the good folks at Tennova, from Tony Benton. I think many of you have called him today and started discussions about the site and the campus.
And this obviously has, as did Knoxville College, the great side benefit of benefiting a nearby neighborhood and dealing with some conditions that would be challenging with the hospital leaving and facing the potential of vacant buildings.
Gentlemen, I feel like we're dancing around the definitive statement. You guys are considering Tennova Hospital to become the new KFD headquarters.
Yeah, we've been evaluating the campus to see if the needs of KPD, KFD, City Court, the training of public safety employees, when I say training, the classroom training, if those uses can be placed on that campus in the existing facilities there with renovations of those existing facilities. So yeah, we're looking at that.
Deputy Bill, I have a question. I know the definition of preliminary, but in this case, what does that mean? Why were we called here today? Are you at a certain point to where you're ready to make an announcement, or is this just considering or talking about it or thinking about it, or where are we?
Yeah, well, we're on the early end of preliminary as we're early. So what we've got is the programming needs, uses, and square footage needs for police and fire in the city courts. And we've got an architect looking at that programming. And then they're also looking at the existing facilities on the campus at the Tennova site, the north site, the St. Mary's site in North Knoxville. So we're looking at programming, we're looking at existing facilities to see, can those uses go into the existing facilities? That's the first question. The second question is, how much does it cost? And so we're doing that work. Many of those facilities, the newer facilities are in good condition, but some of the utility connections to them are linked to the other parts of the campus. And so preliminary is really, can it happen and how much will it cost? And that's where we're at right now.
But we have passed the first stage of looking at saying, the first look, there is sufficient square footage there that looks like it would accommodate it if everything else works out. And their transportation, location look good. There's interest on the fact the property owner right now to speak. So we're going to spend a lot more time digging in and seeing if we can make it work out.
What about City Court?
City Court is something that would go
considering keeping it attached to KPD?
Yes.
Yeah, it's very helpful. The police folks have communicated that having court adjacent to their facilities so that officers who need to walk over to court have an easy, efficient way to get there. So City Court is part of that. And again, looking at uses, looking at existing facilities, it'll work, how much will it cost, and then looking at the other buildings on the campus.
And what are some of the specs you guys are looking at when you're talking about a new KPD headquarters, new public safety building? What are some of the requirements that this site would need to have?
Well, you got sufficient amount of square footage, and you also have to have a building plate that will accommodate the specific needs that they have, especially KPD. And those are the kind of things you're looking at, and seeing how much rework would have to be done and what the state of the utilities would be, et cetera. But it's more than pure square footage, but that's the first hurdle to get by.
Yeah, real quick though on that too, I think there's square footage, building plates, building type, design, security, but there's also the transportation network. Obviously that location is central. It's on good major corridors. You can get to any part of the city quickly. And so for folks who come into the morning, officers that are going to be deployed into the field, they can come in, they can muster in the morning, get their assignments and deploy out into the city. So it's central, but it's along good transportation networks. It's got a good utility grid, central right in the middle of the city. It's an existing facility, so there's some sustainability components to that as well versus building on a green field. Being close to Fulton High School has some real advantages as well. I think the potential for a connection between fire and police recruiting and the young folks that are at Fulton High School. So there's lots of potential there, and I think square footage, transportation, utilities, a lot of those basics are obviously covered.
And we have a big plus of a lot of structured parking that's already there.
And while folks, could be losing a hospital that's next door to them, they could be gaining maybe a feeling of increased safety. I mean, talk to me a little bit about, maybe set some minds at ease tonight about they could be losing this medical resource.
Yeah, I think what Tennova has said, and I think Mr. Benton, Tony Benton with Tennova, he's been in Knoxville for the last year and a half, and Tennova is reinvesting resources in their West and North Campus and then Middlebrook. And so there is a real benefit, instead of having an aging vacant hospital in the middle of the neighborhood, having activity, having several hundred people that come to work every day that need to go eat lunch, and just the eyes on the street, and the activity that brings is a real benefit.
A definite benefit to any small businesses in the area too, for the same reasons that David outlined. So having an occupied campus with lots of people coming and going, yes, they provide a sense of security. The worst thing you could have for a sense of insecurity is empty buildings, as we know, and blighted buildings looming out in the future. But we're excited about the possibility for the commercial enterprises all around that would help provide for all the people working there.
The
I had
city's
one of-
strategy to this point has been very quiet about any possibilities that there might be. You guys have had, for months now, I've looked at several different options. This one may stand out, but you've been quiet for a number of reasons. One, because you don't want to tip your hand. The price tends to go up exponentially when you show your interest. You guys are showing a lot of interest today without a final asking price. Have you talked price? Is that going to go up after this? I mean, are you concerned about that at all?
No, I think, one, it's really not about tipping our hand. I think we're looking for a site, and the mayor said this several times. If you're going to invest $40 million in a facility, it would be wonderful if that investment could also impact the surrounding neighborhood. So could we meet the needs of KPD and KFD out far from the city somewhere? We probably could, but that's only gonna impact KPD and KFD. So finding that site that's central in an area where there's disinvestment. So Knoxville College met that threshold, the Tennova site meets that threshold, and so I think we've done that preliminary work. We were doing that with KC. You want to do enough preliminary work before you try to take something before city council or the community, because you want to manage expectations, and that's what we were doing with Knoxville College, wanting to do that base work. So we're doing that now with Tennova. We've not gotten into price. I think Tennova has hired Realty Trust Group that is assisting them in valuing, taking the costs associated with these older buildings, the need for renovation, some of the legacy costs they have with these buildings, with leases with existing healthcare entities, trying to value that, and we'll sit down here hopefully in the next 30 to 45 days and discuss.
Unwinding all of that is fairly complicated from their point of view, and so, but we've started to have some preliminary discussions about what dollars might be involved, and also what some of the demolition costs might be, and some of the infrastructure costs might be.
What's your timeline? If this works out, what's your timeline?
Describe timeline. Timeline for?
Timeline to actually have a police and fire there.
Oh, I don't think we can answer that yet because we've not done enough due diligence. I think in the next 45 days, we would like to have that base information that we can provide a recommendation to the mayor and start to dialogue about the next phase.
I had a question, please. Going back to the mayor's budget address as a backdrop,
Yeah.
what's driving this? Because I didn't hear this urgency before Clayton expressed an interest in the property. So what's driving this now to create this urgency?
Well, I think we've had, over a long period of time, the knowledge that KBD's facility is just plain not acceptable and deteriorating. So once Knoxville College site presented an opportunity, those discussions got ramped up a little more, and now this opportunity has come along, and we can't eliminate from the discussion the consideration of the fact that a science museum, a great $150 million investment, is heading to that spot as well. So all of those forces are converging to create definite need to move ahead with this, but it's not a new project. We've known for a number of years we had to find an appropriate facility for KPD.
Which came first, Clayton want the property or the need for KPD?
Need for KPD.
And then he found
Yeah.
out about it after?
Well, Mr. Clayton has been looking at a location for a science museum for a number of years, and had looked at the city, had looked at other locations in the city, had looked regionally. And so the timing for it really was Mr. Clayton came back and had an interest in really moving forward and wanted to be on that site. I would also say that, to reiterate what Bill said, is that we've known for a number of years that the KPD facilities were antiquated, inadequate. Obviously, KPD is leasing a lot of space. Their system is fractured with where they have resources spread out. And so we've known for a long time that that building needs to be replaced. The mayor wanted to finish up Public Works that was started under Mayor Haslam and Mayor Brown. We wrapped up Public Works. This was the next major city department that needed a renovation and a new space. And so it's been on the action list for quite some time, but it came before really the Clayton Museum popped in. Although Clayton's been talking about that, Mr. Clayton's been talking about that museum for several years.
Yeah, we've had probably 10 years of discussions of various groups with the Science Museum. So when he contacted us again, actually we said that particular site might have some opportunity. I mean, just anytime you get north of Ferry Costa Plaza, you've got open space, you've got parking lot, then you've got the existing KPD structure. So it wasn't that he came looking for that one so much as when he talked to us about a good location, that struck us as a great location at the core of the city, and to help being recover from some of the legacy of urban renewal back in the day.
So you made him aware of the possibility of that becoming available?
Of that larger site being something to talk about, yes, we
Okay,
did.
all right, thank you.
Is there any